So
I'm
you
just gonna
are
pretend like it doesn't exist.
all right. So we just went live. Thank you for tuning in. This is the Michael Jackson Show. We got Priscilla on the line. Priscilla, happy birthday.
Thank you. Hey.
Are we allowed to say how old you are on the air? You care about shit like that?
Yes, that's fine. I turned 31 today.
31 years old. Okay. So
31.
unfortunately, your birthday falls during a time of quarantine. And that means you don't get to do a damn thing. So what have you been doing all day to celebrate your birthday? What have you done?
I woke up to my daughter 2 inches away from my face, like, Mommy, it's your birthday. It's time to wake up at 6 a.m. So that was the start of it. And then it's just been nonstop. She decorated a birthday table for me, which was super cute because that's like a tradition in our family. So it's always good to see them carry that stuff on. Like they're paying attention to that, you know?
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope. So 31 years of age. If we were not in quarantine at this moment, what would you be doing?
See, that's my whole thing. I feel like it sucks because I'm not really doing anything, but if we weren't in quarantine, I probably wouldn't be doing too much different anyways. I'd probably be in Seattle though. And It's funny because I was not missing home at all until it was impossible for me to travel there. So
yeah. And so you were telling me the other day that your mom and your dad, you guys all have birthdays like in the same like period of time, so you always celebrate together. Is that right?
Yeah. So my dad is the 16th, I'm the 19th, and then my mom's is tomorrow, the 20th.
Dang, that's crazy.
I know, right? So this week is usually crazy. So we end up just like usually spending the week together, and then a lot of my friends are back in Seattle. So that kind of has sucked. But I will say this. I have had this birthday in particular has shown me that I have a lot of good friends that I haven't known as long.
Yeah.
But some of my long-term friends are just sort of falling off.
Yeah. It's interesting because I kind of noticed the same thing over the last couple of weeks. Like, you're definitely seeing like a new crop of people pop up, and the old regime is starting to phase out. It's weird.
I got a new batch though, and I'm appreciative of them. I'll tell you that much. Because I had people I've known forever not even reach out today. I had people I haven't known that long gift me gifts. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, that's dope.
It is dope.
Real dope. Hey man, you take care of the ones that take care of you, and you invest in the ones that reciprocate and show that they are valuable. It's not that hard. Well, that's awesome, man. Well, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Priscilla. Happy birthday to you. There you go. You get a dusty ass birthday song. I told you I was gonna sing to you. That's as good as it's gonna get.
Can we hire you?
Listen, I'm not available for gigs. You know what I'm saying? I'm retired, okay? And you can see why, because that shit is awful. Okay, well, Priscilla, we are in week 36 of quarantine. How do you feel?
God, I'm not even gonna lie to you. I wasn't gonna start this off hella negative, but I had a panic attack today for real.
Oh no, that's not good.
No, I had to sit in my car and decompress, and then finally, I sat outside while my kids swam, and it got a little better. But
damn, I'm sorry to hear that, man. I was hoping that today would be at least one of the days that we could call good, especially with everything that's going on.
I was trying to start off on a positive note. I wasn't even going to say anything about it, but since we're asking about the quarantine. My kids are just going crazy. They're too active. They need to be outside. And over here, even outside is closed. So finding any sort of outside place to walk besides like sidewalks is just impossible.
You know, it's crazy. I heard that out here that our parks open back up, and that we had a couple of farmers markets open back up as well.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I seen that. I seen that on Twitter like last night. I saw that shit, which is very interesting because I honestly I'm probably supposed to be following a lot of this stuff a lot closer than I am, but I thought the parks had stayed open. I didn't know we weren't supposed to go to the parks. And not low key, when I've been going outside, you know where I've been at? I've been at the damn park.
Well, I think you're allowed to walk as long as you're practicing social distancing. But as far as like the playground and
yeah, because they always have all the basketball courts locked up. They're not letting niggas go.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I just been walking around, and I will come back to the house. But it was interesting to see that they opened up a couple farmers markets, and I think they said only like 60 people were allowed in at one time, and that they still needed to practice the social distancing thing. And then shout out to Steph. Well, I can't really read what you say because I don't have my glasses on. It shouldn't be that hard to respect those who respect you, love and light. Yeah, amen. What was I saying? So they're letting about 60 people in at a time, and then they're just making sure that everybody practices social distancing. But I wonder how that worked out after being open a couple days. I wonder what people's thoughts were, going to a farmer's market and stuff like that. I bet it's very interesting. But I feel like everywhere I've gone when I've been outside, like everybody's got their mask on, and it's just weird to see that, and then to see how people act. And there's just a handful of people that are just out being hella weird and doing weird stuff, man. It's a weird time.
That's the hardest thing for me because. And I think we've talked about this before. In other countries, people are like banding together and being united and have this sort of sense of unity and like being a community. And out here, I feel like it's just divided people more, and people have like same cast attitudes. They like seem to always be upset about something. Like I'm on the verge of cutting people out every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't do this, y'all.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely makes you like, you have to, if you allow yourself to get caught up and you're not focused on how the environment that we're in does actually affect and impact your mental health, you may not realize that you're on edge as you are. So I'm not even sure if a lot of people know that they're being assholes. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And I'm sure I'm the same way. Like,
yeah. I know, I know I kind of I come off sometimes like hella aggressive too, because I've been like in a weird state. Not that it's like any type of excuse or anything, but for the longest time, I didn't really notice it because I felt like maybe I was just like a little bit aggravated when we would talk about it, but I didn't recognize how even just the way I'll be in here folding laundry and the towel don't fold right on the first try, and I'll be like, fuck that towel. And I'll throw it to the side and be like, yo, and then I'll come back to it. But it was just starting to get that bad because under these circumstances, I don't think anybody's really happy with what's going on. I know the one thing I did this past week though is I just have not been on I went back to going on IG and Twitter the last couple of days. That way I could promote this new show that's about to come out. Yeah. But I had not been on Facebook, and it was nice to not know what the hell was going on and just kind of just be living here under the circumstances, but not have to hear all the crap.
So
it was nice.
If we're allowed to talk about dirty draws, I actually was having a conversation with Steph today, and she brought up the fact that there is a new study out that says if you carry the if you are XY chromosome, which is a male, you are actually more likely to get sicker and you can actually carry the virus in your testicles.
You know, I saw something about that like probably like 2 or 3 hours ago when I was scrolling on the internet and it said something
And
about that.
I thought it
I
was
was
a joke,
dying
but it is
laughing.
actually legit scientific information.
For real?
And
that's hella funny.
so I'm like, no quarantine D for me.
You know, that was the one thing I noticed. I noticed that right before I kind of just like went away from like just seeing all that stuff every day, some of the stuff I was hearing was so wild. Like they like increased the amount of feet that the virus can travel when it's airborne, and then it was like I had heard what was it that I heard? Because I remember saying like there's no way in hell. Like it was something crazy about how the air the virus can travel, like it being on stuff. And then they were talking about like kissing and doing all this, and I'm like, bro, they're like literally trying to get people to just never want to touch each other ever again.
Right.
Which is just hella interesting because there's like when I went to Safeway today, I seen Buddy walking in. Tell me why. He's hugged up on his girl, kissing her all on the face, and they're making out and all that. And I see him spit on the ground, and then was still hugged up with his girl. Go back to kissing her on everything. I swear I heard him cough right before he walked in the door. And in my head, all I could think of was, these are the two nastiest MFs I've ever seen in my life. But low key, I was like, but what do you do? Because everybody out here is nasty as hell. So I'm not surprised if you can get the shit and then you're being, as a man, you're carrying it through your testicles. I probably got that shit in my armpits, fucking on the bottom of my feet. Fuck, you get too close to my kneecaps, you probably gonna end up getting coronavirus. Who the fuck knows, man? It's just crazy.
Yeah, I am a little like, it's interesting to me because there's this whole thing now that like we're trying to reopen everything by May 1st. And I'm curious to see how people react because I think those first couple outings after everything being closed is going to be real interesting.
Yeah, it was weird. I read that in China that they've been open for like a little over a week or two and that people aren't going out. Like almost as if they're just like, nah, we're good. Like after this, like we're all going to stay at home. So I wonder, I think we're all way too impatient. I mean, you see how Americans be acting. So I can't imagine that people are going to want to stay home, but you got to think of like, look at some of these small businesses. Are they going to want to reopen again just because they're told that they should? You know what I'm saying? Like they may not want to put themselves in a position to end up contracting the stuff again. So they may not even want to open their shops and their restaurants and places like that.
Yeah, like the latest news for Vegas is that they're supposed to open back up the strip late next month. But they put in place what they call extreme safety measures or extensive safety measures. And that includes thermal cameras to screen you for a temperature.
Dang, so like if you're running at like 98.3, they're probably gonna kick you out, huh?
That's crazy to me though. That's like some real stuff. Like, wow, we are really living in quite the time.
But it's wild. Yeah, but I'm sorry to interrupt, but what's wild is that you think of like, I was watching Joe Rogan the other day and he mentioned something that was interesting to me, that he said sometimes when things like this happen, this is a way for them to like pass laws and do things, not like necessarily behind our back, but kind of like under the table to some degree. And then our civil liberties end up getting violated and stuff like that. And I found that very interesting because like, what if they start saying that everybody's required to get chipped and do all these things? Like, I don't want no fucking microchip. I don't want niggas tracking me. I don't want my FBI agent knowing that I'm going at 3 a.m. to go, clap cheeks and shit like that. Like, I don't want no one to know that.
I mean, what do you think this vaccine is that they're pushing? So I was reading this thing. I can't remember if we talked about it, but when you get the vaccine, they inject it into you and then they scan it with a pulse, like a pulse of electricity.
You know what? Hold on. I'm sorry to interrupt real quick. I totally forgot. We got to intro the show on the radio. Hey, yo, my bad, y'all. This is the Meemco Jackson Show. We're live on Track Talk Radio. We were just in here just going in on some topics and then totally forgot to intro the show. So if you were listening on the radio, welcome. I hope you enjoyed the music. Y'all haven't heard music from me in a little while, so I just gave y'all a little bit extra, but welcome to the show. Priscilla, go ahead.
Oh, so about this vaccine, after they inject you with the vaccine, they have to basically scan the injection site and produce an electric pulse into the injection site. What? And their only explanation for this electric pulse is that it helps the DNA spread into your body. It was some very basic, unscientific explanation that I was like, is anybody buying this?
Nah, that doesn't even sound right.
And Bill Gates has talked about microchipping people for years now.
Yeah, and that's interesting to me because my thing is why do you want people microchipped? But then we know why, because they want to be able to track everything you do everywhere you go. That way, if you do something stupid, they can catch you with the quickness. They want to be able to tell if you're sick before you even know you're sick. That way, they can put you in a containment area. Obviously, all of this is a way to keep our numbers as low as they possibly can, without going too overboard with it. I get that. But at the same time, in my mind, I just look at it from this standpoint. Why do I want to even care what everybody else is doing?
Yeah.
Why? It's crazy.
I think right now, especially, you just gotta worry about you and yours. And as selfish and fucked up as that sounds, that's the only thing you can do right now.
Yeah, that's very true.
Worry about yourself. Take the extra precautions for you and your household. And if anybody got a problem with it, well, then you can go get sick, or you can, do what you need to do, or what you feel is fit.
Yeah, I know that people are crazy upset because they're thinking that as round 2 sweeps through, that it's going to be worse than what it was before as far as the amount of casualties. I know I heard some numbers where they think the first round does 3 million and that the second round does 50. I don't know how accurate that is or what they're even basing that off of. That would be a crazy amount of people. But I think there's also people that believe that even if that's the case, we should still be able to live our lives to the fullest. And if we go, we go, because it's inevitable. You don't really get to control your fate anyway. And I know obviously none of us want to be in a situation where time is running out and we know about it. You want to kind of go out on your own terms and stuff, but is staying at home going to be the best for people? You and I talked about this the other day when we were reflecting on Buddy in the UK, how he was already having some mental struggles, and then the isolation ended up making him take his own life. There are some people that feel staying home is actually doing more harm than good. And so at this point, when we're weeks and weeks away, I don't know, man, because we were all already sick in the beginning of the year. And I don't know. I haven't been in a space where I felt that stuff was coming back. I know it took mad long to make a recovery. I feel good. I'm not concerned about going out in public and all these things, but I'm also in a space where I don't know, man. If I'm to end up fading away, that's just how the chips fell. You know what I'm saying? It's not I'm not gonna try to live my life in fear in order just to prevent death. You gotta still live, or if not, we're gonna be bored the rest of our fucking lives. Excuse my language.
Yeah, I'm not. If this really is, and I don't personally believe this, but some other people are talking about, if this is how we're supposed to go out, or if this is how we're going out, this is not how I'm about to spend the last couple of my days or years. Yeah.
And I also think I think it's okay to stay at home. I've spent a lot of time at home. I've kind of had to just make peace with the fact that we're not going to really be able to get out and do anything, and that's okay. Go on walks, go to the grocery store when need be, and conditions are not that bad. Considering there's people who have been spending the last however many years locked in a prison, this ain't that bad when we're able to communicate freely. We're on a live stream right now. Shout out to everybody that's watching on YouTube and everybody that's listening on Track Talk Radio. We're able to still message and kick it with our friends and all that to some degree. Like, it's not like I haven't seen my people. Like, some of my people I have seen on the regular a handful of times. It's unfortunate that for me, I can't go play basketball, but what can you do? Staying at home is not that bad. I hope that, we've done enough to maybe help curb this shit a little bit. But I think it was unreal. It was not smart of us to assume that everybody was just going to stay home. You knew you were going to have people who could not do that shit, because there are some people that they just want to be out and about all the damn time. And there ain't nothing you can do about that.
What we should have done is we should have isolated the immunocompromised, pre-existing conditions, the elderly, and let everybody who was in good health continue on, so that we could have at least reached this peak or this curve, flatten the curve, whatever, sooner.
But how do you think that would be accepted? Because there would be people who would take that as well, then you're discriminating, because then you're locking these people away and then allowing everybody else to go outside. Because what if?
Well, it could be a choice.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I think if you're doing it like that, where you have all these people and they can opt in or opt out of something, I like that plan, because I bet you there's a lot of people who would have been like, well, I'll just go because I want to make sure I protect myself. And obviously, if I'm at somebody who's at risk and then I end up being more of a carrier than what I should be, I might as well kind of put myself away now, do the 2-3 weeks, and then, hopefully everything goes well and you can go home in a month,
So I actually started reading into that doctor that I was telling you about, his theory, he's an immunologist, and his theory is that the worst thing we could have done was to stop everything and isolate ourselves, because it actually prolongs it. And he talks about how, unfortunately, a part of a pandemic is there is going to be death, and that's not something people are happy about, obviously, but it's a part of human nature.
Yeah.
But I've been actually reading into a couple of his studies and his theories, and it makes a lot of sense. And that's one of the things he was saying was we should have protected the elderly, protected the people with COPD and let everybody else go out. And if they caught it, they healed, and then we developed this sort of natural herd immunity.
Yeah.
Which, some people don't agree with. They're like, okay, well, there's already been a couple cases of people catching it again. So now we don't really, which ties back into my conspiracy theory that they're fucking spreading it. It's not just some natural virus that came about.
Yeah, it's, man, all this stuff is just so interesting, because it's there's so much information, but then there's also so little information available that it's hard to figure out which way do we go with this. Obviously, people were getting sick. I know that to be a fact, because I was sick at one point, worse than I had ever been. And my exact story was the same as literally, I would say out of the 5,000 friends I had on Facebook, I saw at least 100 to 200 posts that were all the same story that I told, that you told, that James told. Just almost everybody that we know. I know you said you had friends who were telling that shit. So did I. People that I'm close to, their parents had the same situation. So we know that there is some type of sickness floating around, but then, you're going to have people who are looking at it well, I'm someone who will continue to say, well, people have been getting sick since the dawn of time. So why do we stop our lives for it? But then there are other people who are going to be maybe this is a good thing, and then this is supposed to help out. But do we think isolating people would have stopped this, or is all this stuff inevitable anyway? And is wearing the mask and taking all these crazy measures, is all that shit pointless if this thing is just airborne? Like, what are we supposed to really do? How are we combating this shit? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's the other part too. Like people with their cloth masks. Like I understand that people, you know, like it's something's better than nothing. I get it.
Oof.
And obviously, like I've been into stores with my kids. They don't wear masks. My son's not gonna wear a mask, and my daughter, I just don't have one for her. But
Yeah.
I mean, I get that it obviously helps you from just touching your face unknowingly, which is something we do a lot, like more than we're aware of. But sometimes, like I see workers, and I'm like, okay, I get it, but if you know that the virus can pass through a piece of cloth, it's not a medical grade mask, it's not N95, or I don't know. I don't really see the point. I think it's more of like a mental thing, like, okay, I feel safe because I have a mask on, but what is it really protecting against?
Yeah.
At that point?
Yeah. It's
unpopular opinion once again, but
no, I feel it though, because I look at it as like for me, like when I hoop, like I wear ankle guards, but like I can still get hurt. That the threat of that is always real. If it's just a part of it, you know what I'm saying? But like I'm not quitting. I know I'm probably making it seem like I'm just diminishing the severity of the situation. I swear to y'all, I'm not. But I just think in these types of terms, like the threat of being hurt when you play is always there, but you don't just quit because you could potentially get hurt. Most of us, because we're warriors, we keep playing until something crazy happens. And you got to force us to get off the field or the court or whatever it is. Like, that's how people go about their business. Like you keep playing until you possibly can't play no more. So like it's weird that we get in these situations and then everybody's like, no. We're all just gonna quit and like cop out. But like people don't want to do that. They want to keep going until it run out on its own. You know what I'm saying? Because you want to do everything you can to make the most of your life. I think that's got to be like a personal choice. If this is really the land of the free, home of the brave type of stuff, I don't think we should all be getting so mad at people who want to go out and live their life, or getting mad at businesses that want to open up, because there's people that want to pay them for their services, allow them to make their money to feed their families and do all that type of stuff. Like if that means people got to go outside, then they got to go outside. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know. I might just end up staying in the house unless it's time to go hoop. So if the gym opens, I will go hoop, but otherwise, I'm staying at home.
I just want the gym back. That's all.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I need the gym. I'll be glad to go to the gym every day, but I don't want to go anywhere else. I don't need to go shop and do all that. Like I need to go to the grocery store, but I don't know.
I'm not gonna lie, this whole curbside thing that everybody's doing,
it's lit.
This shit needs to stick around. I went and got my dog vaccinated today, and I didn't even have to get out my car. They took me to the car, they picked up my dog, they went and vaccinated him. I paid over the phone, they brought him out to me.
You know who proves that this curbside shit can work successfully? You see how Chick-fil-A be acting? They've been doing that. And you see how they be killing and serving everybody. Bro, I'm telling you, we could just do this for the duration. I'm not mad at some of this stuff. Like, I don't want to have to get out of the car to go in for you to hand me the thing. I'll pull up, you hand it to me, and I'll keep riding. And we don't have to I don't have to cough on you. You don't got to cough on me. You probably, and you know what's crazy? I think about this too. With these drive-up services, the people who work in these places are more likely to want to work with you and greet you and give you great service because your interaction is limited. And they have your stuff ready, so you're less likely to be pissed off. You probably keep people in a better headspace, and people are more likely to want to help you when they don't feel like they're under so much damn pressure. Not that people shouldn't be able to handle pressure, but you see how some of these people act when they go shopping. Now they don't get that option to go in there and get mad about some item not being on the shelf, and then they start yelling at some 17-year-old girl or boy. Like, you don't have to worry about that no more, because their only option is you order it online and then it's available to come get picked up. You pull up, you grab it, you drive your ass home.
I love it. So
Yeah, I do
As a
too.
single mom, it's extremely convenient for me to.
Yeah, I bet that's so
I've gotten
helpful.
craft supplies from Michael's for my kids. Just pull on up to the front
Michaels.
door, call them, they bring it out. I don't gotta like get the kids
Hey,
on the car.
yeah, that's dope. Makes everything easy. So let me ask you this though. So I know when we talked the other day, we were talking about potentially trying to find you like a sitter or something to help when you're doing grocery shopping. Do you feel
Yeah.
like more grocery stores need to adopt, these philosophies to make life a little bit easier? Like,
See, yes and no. I feel like a part of me feels like they're doing the most they can because there is like pickup services, where you can
yeah,
drive up to your groceries up. But the thing about that is like I'm having to order my groceries 5 days in advance just to get a pickup time.
damn,
And
that's a
and then
lot.
some of the groceries aren't available, but they're available if you go into the store when they first open up. So like I understand stuff like
Yeah.
that isn't exactly always their fault.
Hmm.
But I also feel like there's probably more that they could be doing to facilitate that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Can we get a single mom time like the elderly?
You know what? I don't think that's a bad idea, actually. Or, or some of these, I mean, I know that they don't have the space for it, nor would they really be allowed, but like, it wouldn't be a bad idea for some of these places to maybe hire, like, create a little childcare space where, like, people can drop off their kids with someone who is a trusted professional, and they can watch them while the parents can go shop. That way, you could get people in and out quicker. Because when parents are having to like focus on the kids, but then also focus on keeping their distance from people and also trying to make sure the kids are not touching stuff and,
Mm-hmm.
doing all of that, man, that's a lot of work. And then all you're trying to do is get your grocery shopping done. Like, I can't imagine that shit is easy.
No, not
Yeah.
at all. And like my son is just, he thinks the store is like, the place to play. So he don't want to sit in the cart. He wants to push the cart down every freaking aisle and then run off laughing and thinking it's funny. And I'm
That's
like, I'm not
funny.
trying to have you all over the floor touching shelves and whatnot.
Yeah, you don't want that. You're gonna end up bringing Corona home
But
with you, and it ain't gonna be them beers.
it is something that I feel like even after all this shit is over with, I feel like more grocery stores should utilize like having a child because I would pay money to drop my kids off at at the gym, where they have like a
Yeah,
child care facility, so
yeah,
that I could go grocery shop. And Fred Meyer in Kirkland did that. They had like a little child care spot where you can drop your kids off and go grocery. My kids were always too young for me to like trust somebody else watching them at the time.
yeah. That makes
But
sense.
now I'm like, that would come in big handy.
Yeah. It's not a bad idea. Maybe if
You
they and
probably
if
make
you if
more
someone
money
uses the
too.
service, maybe charge them like $5 a kid or something. It's not like you're gonna be
Mm-hmm.
in there for crazy long, and a lot of parents will really utilize the service. But I could also see why they wouldn't do it because that could potentially be a lawsuit nightmare. Just based on the fact that if something happened to somebody's kid, Fred Meyer, Safe, all these places, they don't want to take on the thought of a lawsuit because you know how it goes with childcare. People just don't act right. Their kids don't normally act right. So you might take your kid in there, and there just might be some kids who just don't know any better, and one thing lead to another. Then you got abuse claims, and then it could be a whole thing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Well, they probably gotta have some sort of special license for that too.
yeah, probably. Hopefully they'll figure something out, or I mean, simple solution maybe is just bring on as many like in-house shoppers that they could find. That way they could get the orders out quicker. And then if you just get the
Mm-hmm.
delivery drivers, and I mean, that's what some of these companies just need to take on the expense of paying their delivery drivers a high rate, give them more
Right.
incentive to pull up. Like you could be doing grocery deliveries from 4:30 in the morning till freaking a little bit after 1. I'm sure people will stay up to get their groceries if they know they can get it quicker than 5 days. Like, I'll stay up till midnight if I have to get that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Seriously though. I mean, it takes like even if I'm asleep, I'll set my alarm, ring my doorbell.
Hell yeah. Hey, listen, anything to get that Captain Crunch for real. Yo, I ate the whole giant size box of that in like 2 days last week. And then when I ran out, I ain't gonna lie, I was a little bit sad. But I keep forgetting to grab it at the store. That's the one thing I can say because I've been eating like garbage. All the junk food is fully stocked. So anything that's healthy, like I'm not even allowed to eat it because they're not restocking it, but they got all the junk food money can buy. So I love it out here. That's why I need the gym bad.
See, I'm not even gonna lie. My girl was like, "You should take some cute pictures and some selfies." I'm not feeling myself without the gym.
You
And it sounds
ain't
super
never lie.
superficial. I don't care. I need the gym because I'm feeling like a frumpopotamus. Like
A what? A frumpopotamus? Is that what you said?
yes,
Oh my God. Okay, frump.
Frumping the clumps over here.
Yo, you know what's funny? So yesterday, today's Sunday, right? Yeah. So yesterday I did the photo shoot. And so trying to get some new photos so that way we can use them for promos. And then if I can get a logo and all that, we'll put it on some of these photos and they can be used for this show and the other show and then some other little projects and stuff that I'm trying to work on. And I surprisingly, when I was able to look at some of them last night, I didn't look as bad as I thought, considering the circumstances and not being able to go to the gym. But I ain't gonna lie. I didn't look all that great. So it's time to tighten this shit up. So tomorrow I'm trying to get, back to getting up in the morning, getting outside, going for a little workout, and try to get some of my shape back, man, because I'm out here looking a little bit rough. It's wild. But yeah, I gotta make the gym come to me. That's my plan for the week. Let's try to get my fitness back right.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna start doing sprints with my kids in the morning, and then like a home workout after they go to bed.
Hey.
I'm just setting my alarm and sticking to it because I've got to get some sort of something going on.
Yeah, I feel you. Yo, listen, you trying to set up some training sessions with what's your fees, man? You can train me. I'll put you on the computer and I'll just set it outside. I can get the workout and you can tell me what to do.
Like we gonna have a problem here, real. And it's honestly like I weighed myself. I haven't even really been putting on weight, but it's just like
it's just that feeling.
Yeah,
it's the like feeling that you get.
I'm lazy and I'm unmotivated. I don't like that.
Yeah.
Stagnant. That's the word.
I like that. That's a good way to put it. Hey, listen, man, you're gonna be back to slaying pretty soon. You're gonna be all right. We just gotta get out there and get after it. I'm surprised that the kids just don't want to just run all day. You should just like take them to an open field and let them run. Just chase them. You'll get that workout every time.
Yeah, see, that's what I did the other day at this place, and then I feel like everybody. The moment I found this little sanctuary, it was just like open fields and there was nobody there. And I was go there a second time and it was like everybody then got the memo.
It blew up the spot.
But then they want to get frustrated if you get too close to them. And I'm like explaining to two young children what social distancing is and how to act, when to act, what to do. Stay away. Like, it's very difficult. My daughter understands somewhat. So if I'm like, hey, like, come here, back away. My boy is like, I'll just run this way. Like, hope you don't mind.
So all you want to do is just run wherever. Yeah, that's crazy. Man, you guys had, I guess everything's closed, so you wouldn't be able to use like a track or anything anyway. Damn.
Thank you. That's my point. I'm like, so I literally sat up until 11 o'clock at night, Friday night. And I went on this website called Atlas Obscura that I use, which is a dope website with like cool, funky things that you wouldn't normally think to do in your state.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I found a couple of outdoorsy things to do with them, but they're like an hour and a half away. So I have like a day trip planned for a couple of things, but everything is closed.
Yeah.
But And now I see why all the stuff that is open is so packed, because people don't have much of a choice.
So, do you have like this is a 2-part question. Have they said whenever your state is going to open back up, like their parks and stuff like that? And if the date is like way far off, have you thought about just coming home, since all of our stuff is starting to open up? That way you can just like go be active and get the kids out doing stuff, and then at least you can be close to family.
Yeah, my mom actually asked me if I wanted to come home at the beginning of this, and I was like, hell no. Now that Seattle seems to be sort of handling it differently, and it doesn't seem like so much of a bad idea. I am a little hesitant about leaving my son in warm weather. But they have not said. My daughter was supposed to go back to school on the 24th of April, which is definitely not.
Yeah, but that's on. And why would they go back on a Friday? Isn't that a Friday? Yeah, that's Friday, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's hella random, right?
Yeah. They probably said that because they knew it wasn't happening.
It was looking at, I think they said April 30th. And now everything is when science dictates. That's the saying here. When science dictates it's okay to open up, then we're going to open up.
Yo, they're wild for that.
I'm like, okay, that gives us no sort of light at the end of the tunnel.
So then it makes it to where even if you wanted to leave, like if you leave sometime after next week, they could pop up on any random day and say that everything is back on, and then you'd end up having to just fly right back anyway. That probably would end up being a waste.
Yeah, the whole thing is just it's inconvenient. It sucks. I mean, there's been some good and bad things about it. As much as my kids drive me crazy, it is nice to be able to have like good time with them.
Yeah, for sure.
Which you don't really like realize how much your kids thrive off of that until you do it. And it does. I've gone through 6 of the 10 wine bottles that my mother sent me not that long ago.
Over there turning up. Yo, you might end up breezing through that stuff that I sent you quick then, huh?
Yeah, my little birthday surprise over here.
Yeah.
I'll be like sitting at my mailbox tomorrow waiting.
Yo, you better track that thing, see where it's at. I sent you the info, right?
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
Thank you again, by the way.
It ain't no problem. Whenever I go to re-up, I'll send you some more stuff. It ain't no big deal.
My mail lady is hella cool. She's like, she always be bumping the jams in her mail truck.
Hey, you gotta turn up while we in this virus mode. That's
hella funny. She was
funny.
like, one time she brought a package to my door. She was like, this smells good.
Fam, don't even worry about it. Yo, listen, let me stop incriminating myself.
Yeah,
listen,
right.
I think I did a pretty good job wrapping it and doing all that. It should be all right. But yeah, let me know what you think, because I actually the same stuff that I sent you, I got a pack, and so I haven't lit one of them up yet, so I'm interested to see what it's gonna be like. But we'll see. Okay, let's Sherry. Let's get to Sherry. Shout out to Sherry, CEO of Track Talk Radio.
Hey, Sherry.
What did you say?
I said, hey, Sherry.
Oh, yeah. I don't even know if Sherry's in the chat. I don't think she is, but we had talked. I was telling you guys last week how I had taken issue with some of the things as far as like we were hyping people up, but people weren't hyping us. But then I realized that complaint is somewhat invalid because I have not really made a strong effort to connect with everybody. So can't expect people to rep this show if we're not reaching out and doing our job, my job. So we found out a way, and Sherry and I chopped it up. We talked about all this stuff. We found out a way to kind of make sure some of the love is shared. That way, it is a little bit fair to everybody on the station, so on and so forth. And one thing she did was that she recorded some drops for their ads. So that's pretty cool, man, because TribeTokes.com is a dope sponsor, and they make great products. I know Steph, she had tried some of the products. I actually know a couple other people that have ordered them. I don't know if they've received their packs or whatever they've purchased, but it seems like that's being developed into a real nice partnership. So I want to say shout out to Sherry for bringing that along. I don't know much about the blissbody.com.
Yeah.
Mainly because I have not followed much of that. Also, like, I don't know if there's stuff on there for me. But either way, shout out to them for also being a part of Track Talk Radio, and we appreciate them and what they have done. So in the next couple of days, maybe a couple of weeks, I think Sherry will have those things recorded and they'll start playing on the radio, which will be pretty sweet. There will also be ads for this show as well, from what I hear. So we'll have a couple of drops for that. And in the next couple of weeks, within this room, I'm going to cover this place with sound panels. So I need to get it painted, and I'm going to cover with the sound panels. And Priscilla, you and I talked about this, but I'm going to cut a comedy rap album. And it's going to be lit. And we're going to have a theme song. And we're going to make that tip and drill video, because that shit is going to be hella funny. So
as long as I can wear my red do-rag,
we're going to be in those do-rags, fam. It's lit. Yeah. So a lot of those little like projects that we're talking about, we're going to put those into action. We're going to get that shit done. So one of the things on the list is this rap comedy album, because on my other computer, I have all the software to record the music. And then we have a microphone. So the shit will be very simple. I might just need to find some updated beats. I think all the beats I have saved on my computer are from like 2010. Nobody probably wants to hear none of that stuff. But shout out to you if you sent me a beat back in the day. I really appreciate it. It probably was really good, but I definitely did not use that. And then starting on April 24th, there's a new show. The new show, because this is a radio show. So our number one commitment was to Track Talk Radio. And I'm bringing this up because in the beginning, I made this commitment to Sherry, and I want to make sure that that is honored. And I did not want this to continue to feel like I was trying to go off and try to just upgrade and do all these other platforms all at one time, because all this stuff at once was not working as far as trying to do the radio, do the Twitch, do the YouTube, and fucking get all you guys on the call at the same time. We're not doing that. So Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, we're going to be here live on YouTube and on Track Talk Radio with the Meaningful Jackson Show. And then on Friday nights from 6 to 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Twitch only, that's where the podcast called Starters on the Bench will be held. So that is my new show, and it's only going to be sports, music, video games, and books. Mainly because I've started to get back into this reading thing. I've also gotten back to my video gamer status. I never was a very good gamer, but I'm back on Halo. So if I'm not doing my actual job or doing the show, I literally am on the freaking Xbox playing Halo and 2K. So get at me if you're trying to run some games. My gamer tag is the same name that's on every other thing that I have. It's Meaningful Jackson. Holla at me if you want that one-on-one. But we're going to do books, video games, music, because, there's hella music coming out right now since people are hella bored. They're finally releasing all their projects. So we have lots of music that can be reviewed. And that now is going to be the time where we can sit around and debate, greatest of all times and who are our top 10s and our favorite records, our favorite artists. And the same thing with video games. We got a lot of games dropping, so we can talk about all that stuff. And with sports as well. Sorry. So we're going to touch on all those things. The show is just going to mainly be me, but I already have people who, because those avenues are the ones that they frequent the most, we have a lot of people who are going to be coming on doing guest appearances, people who have gaming accounts and connections, and people who do stuff in the the book writing field and music, all kinds of stuff. And then obviously you guys know that I know people who play sports. So that one was the easy one. So we're going to finally start to see maybe some of my little sports friends will be on the show. So it's going to be lit. And this is the way to keep stress to a minimum. So there are 2 shows. This, what you are watching and hearing this announcement on, is a radio show. So again, shout out to Sherry and Track Talk Radio. This is where we are. And then on Friday evenings for 1 hour, we'll have Starters on the Bench, which is the actual podcast, and that will be live on Twitch. So you need to follow me on Twitch. Meemco Jackson ENT. That's the Twitch name. I'll put it in the description and in the comments and all that stuff later. So it's going to be lit. Oh, shout out to Big Baby Jonathan, man. He had me on his show the other day. Steph, are you a fan of basketball? I mean, Priscilla. And I know Steph is in here too. I'm talking to Steph because Steph is in the chat too. So Steph, since you're in the chat, okay, cool. And Priscilla, are you guys fans of basketball? Because if you are, you should follow my man Big Baby Jonathan because he's got a show, and I was on there on Friday.
Okay. I haven't. So I love sports, but I never have the time to keep up with them. But I will definitely give him a follow.
Yeah, you should. So shout out to John. John had me on his show. We were talking about greatest duos of all time in NBA history, and he had picked Kobe and Shaq, which I love because that's who my pick was. So again, if you are a fan of my show and you are also a fan of sports, go follow my man Big Baby Jonathan. He has a great podcast, and if you are a Lakers fan, this is where you want to be. So John, thank you, bro. I appreciate you having me on. I look forward to calling in again, and we can chop it up. Shit, maybe at one point we'll be able to, get each other in the same room. We'll be able to debate some sports. We'll get it cracking. So, hey, Steph, shout out to you. Steph already follows him. Okay. See, that's what we want. We want people to connect with other people. It's gonna be lit. So, okay. There was a couple of things on here, and I want to ask you, Priscilla, if you had heard about some of these stories. Okay. Let's see. So, did you hear about, and now since I read this story earlier, I've been checking my account like every couple of hours to see if maybe the money was bigger than what it was supposed to be, because in Ohio, there was a teenager who, when he checked to see if he got his stimulus check, and they gave Buddy like $4 million.
I did see that.
My freaking mind was blown. I could not believe that. And I'm sitting over here like, yo, first of all, I want to say I was a little bit hot, and I told you this, that I didn't get the opportunity to reject the money because I didn't know they were just going to put it in your account. And I guess they based it off of how you did your taxes in some prior year or something, and they just used the account that was attached to that, and then they just went ahead and deposited the money. I'm not complaining about getting the money. I'm just saying I would have liked to have the option to decline it, because I feel like that money could go to other people who are in more of a need of it than I am in this moment in time. It's not to say that I'm not appreciative, because, hey, $1,200 is always helpful, but still, I wish I would have been able to decline it. Priscilla, did you get your money?
I have not.
Well, keep your fingers crossed that you end up getting $4 million like this dude did.
I'm hoping I'm one of the oopsies, so I could just distribute that, $8,000 increments into different accounts.
So I'm guessing that if something like this happens to you, you're probably not going to say anything.
I want to be the great, good-hearted person and be like, of course, hell no, I wouldn't say anything. You would not hear a single word from me. I would keep it so low-key. I would not tell a single soul.
But, but this is my thing. I always think about that too. Look, if I ever hit it big, I'm probably not saying nothing to nobody. But at some point, people are going to get suspicious because you are going to make a come up in some regard. You know what I'm saying? Whether, it may not be purchasing something, but you might go on a vacation and people are going to be like, how you do that? And they might be like, where you get the money for that? So at some point, I feel like somebody would find out. And then also, if you're that person who gets this extra cash deposited in your account, if you spend it, don't you think they're gonna come for you? And then
well, that's what I'm saying. You gotta transfer the money under $10,000 increments, because at $10,000, the bank is required to inform the IRS.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm obviously I haven't dealt with big money because I didn't know that. I thought it was like 2,000.
Sorry, what'd you say?
Oh, I was saying I thought it was like a lower number than that. I thought it was like $5,000 or $6,000. After that, they start reporting. I didn't know it was 10.
I'm pretty sure it's 10. Well, I should say from my experience, it's always 10.
Okay, gang, balling over here from her experience. Yo, I think it'd be crazy. Okay, so tell me the rest about the plan. So I'm taking $8,000 to $10,000 and I'm putting it. Do I need to get me an offshore account? Like, how do I launder the money? And I want to know how you did it before. Because obviously, either you just been watching too many movies or you have experience, and I'm trying to get on just in case maybe my second stimulus check is a little bit more than what it should be.
No, I mean, I'm just saying, like, you can import money from your bank account into Cash App account.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I know that part.
Yeah. So, you got to set up different Cash App accounts, or like Venmo, Zelle.
Yeah, that's true.
Instead of online currency, and just gradually cipher it on out.
Damn. I feel like I would be too nervous to spend it if something like that happened, because I'd be afraid that they would just be waiting for me to spend one dime and then they're gonna roll up on me at like the Baskin Robbins and draw their guns on me or some shit. I don't want to be embarrassed like that and end up having to drop my ice cream on the ground.
Here's the thing though, like, you may be looked down upon, but can't nobody say anything if the government is the one that fucked up and put $4 million in your account.
Yeah, that's true.
That's not my mistake. That's your bad. And if you assume that with the way this country is run and the lack of care you have for Americans in general, that somebody's just going to do the right thing and be like, hey, Mr. Government, like,
yeah,
you gave me $3,900,090 whatever dollars left.
Nah.
You're crazy.
Nah, I wouldn't have said anything either, honestly. I don't know what I would have done with the money, but I know I would not have said anything. And mainly because I think along those same lines that you were thinking, like, it's not my fault. Now, if people want to look at me and judge me and say, well, you're grimy for taking it, I'll be like, well, you got to make sure that whoever was, in charge of depositing the money, they fell asleep on the job. You blame them. You don't blame me. That's not my problem. I earn the money in that regard. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's user error. You give me an extra 3 or 4 million than what you're supposed to. Like, I'm gonna spend it and you just hold that L. Because isn't that how that shit works? I'm looking at it like you basically left the money on the ground and I just happen to be the one closest to it and it fell into my pocket. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
And I'm sorry, they can go fuck themselves if they think $1,200 is supposed to hold people up for 10 months.
Yo,
you got to be off your damn mind.
You ain't lying.
That's not even a mortgage.
You ain't lying. So what we get is it's just a one-time payment, right? Is that what this is?
It's a one-time payment, yeah.
Okay.
And then the new stimulus bill that was just proposed is saying that we get $2,000 a month until, I want to say it's the end of July.
Well, because that's what Canada did for their people, right? Didn't they give $2,000 a month until like August or September or something like that?
Yeah, like at this point, you are better off filing for unemployment than you are waiting on your stimulus check.
Yeah. See, I was under the impression that you were only getting a check if you had filed for unemployment. So that's why I was surprised that I got one, because I'm lucky and blessed enough that I have not lost my job. So I'm thankful for that. But I was confused by that because I didn't think I was getting a check.
No, everybody making under a certain amount of income gets the full $1,200. Now, Originally, it was only supposed to be people who had filed their taxes in 2018 or for 2019 because they had their information on file. But what happened is the IRS came out with this website where non-filers, so people who are, say, like a high school student that's not considered a dependent, or people who make under $12,000 a year, people who aren't required to file taxes at all. Now they can go on this website and apply and list their direct deposit information to receive a stimulus check.
Dang. Okay. Well, I mean, I guess that's kind of dope because that means everybody getting the opportunity to get it, right?
Yeah.
So I wonder this though, and I want to hear your thoughts on this. Do you think? And I don't know if there's even a way that they can do this, but I feel like they're in some way or another. Remember thinking back to the letter that you and I talked about like months ago at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that there's going to be some way where they look at us and say, if you took the money, you got to vote for Buddy again? To where he can't, like, now do you think like he's earned the role as hero? This is what they've put him in.
I absolutely feel that I do believe that there are people out there who are going to be like, oh, Trump saved us with this $1,200 check.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of videos of people coming out just kind of speaking their piece about like, don't let this measly $1,200 sway you from the person who he really has been.
Yeah.
But yeah, most definitely. I mean, you're pretty much being bribed to think he's like this great guy that just came in clutch during this time of need. And
yeah, this shit is wild. I mean,
the reality of it is $1,200 isn't shit.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's crazy to think like when you and I, when we talked about that letter and when you read it off to me, it's crazy to think that all, like, if that shit was like an itemized list at this point, we've just been like checking it off. Like all of these things, all of these things have started to happen. So that's what I wondered, like with the stimulus thing, if that was going to put it to where like they're going to be expecting that to some degree. And then I heard that obviously Bernie dropped out and then Biden is put in that, front runner position. And then I heard he had new sexual assault allegations pop up immediately after. So it's literally like what we were reading on the letter.
Mm-hmm.
Bro.
This
is crazy.
I send you this article because it ties into like what I've been kind of explaining to you about like Hollywood and these elites and the pedophilia stuff and the adrenochrome. Yeah. If you look up a 1976 Playboy publication called Sugar and Spice, it is actually this went public that you could buy. It is a 10-year-old Brooke Shields completely nude. Now, they were able to release this because they said that it was not erotic and it was not sexualized. But Brooke Shields'
So
mother,
she's 10 years old and she's new. I feel like I've heard this story before.
Yes. I had to actually Google it. I've heard this story, but I never knew if it was true or not. But it is actually, indeed, very true. And here's like naked Brooke Shields at 10 years old, completely in full face of makeup, posing erotically, but because she's not doing anything sexual, it was okay.
I'm at a loss for words, honestly.
I'm about to send you the stuff right now.
I'm at a loss for words. That's just crazy. Yeah, send me that. I want to read that. That's interesting. And while we wait on that, so when we think about people using, the act of sex and being nasty, that segues me into our next thing where because we're in this pandemic thing, we have stories popping up all over the nation and even the world where landlords are basically telling female tenants that even if they've lost their job, if they want to pay their rent for the month, that they have to perform sexual acts on them.
Yeah.
I don't understand the mindset of a human that looks at a time like this as a way to finesse blowjobs or nudes or sex. Like,
yeah,
this,
I think you got to be a sick fuck, and I think
crazy.
I mean, honestly, it doesn't like. I want to be like, oh my god, I can't believe that. But
Yeah. It's not
surprise me
surprising at all. Yeah, it's not surprising whatsoever. I think for me, I'm bringing it up because mainly due to the fact that it isn't a surprise. Like, just in case you forgot, this type of bullshit is still happening because some of these people are absolute scumbags. And they look at the position that they're in as janky ass landlord. That still puts them in a small position of power, because when you're a tenant and you lose your job, you don't want to be on the street. So then you got to go ask for some type of like concession or some type of favor from your landlord. And now we got these guys who are like, oh yeah, bet you want to skate by on the rent for the month. Maybe you take me in the back and show me a couple of things and like all that. Like, that shit is crazy. These guys have no chill.
The thing is that like the most fucked up part about it is people are in such desperation right now because there are a lot of people who are not receiving benefits.
Yeah.
They're not receiving any sort of help, and they are at risk for losing the homes over their head. They have kids. They have all these other things.
Yeah.
What are they supposed to do?
They can pretty much, they're being told they have to go back to the oldest profession in mankind, which is what? Prostitution. That's pretty much what that shit is. If you are a landlord and you're basically, doing the barter system and you're trading rent and electricity and all these for sexual favors, like, bro, like, just thinking about when we ask parents to lead by example, it's hard at this point because we're forcing some of the adults to have to do things like this in order for them to feed their families. And you think of like the type of situation and environment that creates for a child, and hopefully they never have to find out. But God, can you imagine in 20 years when there's going to be all these mothers who are telling stories, probably at Thanksgiving, because that's when you hear about these things, is during the holidays, and you're going to find out that during a pandemic, your mom was basically selling it just to make sure that y'all didn't end up on the street. Like, the thought that she's going to end up having to carry that with her. Like, fuck, man, I can't imagine. Like, if I knew that some dude tried to put my mom in that position, I probably would have to come back for him. Because that to me is not cool at all. But at the same time, like, you can't be hard on these women or even these men, because they're just doing what they got to do to make sure that their kids don't end up in the freaking gutter. Like, this is what our country is doing to us. So when I watch these videos of like freaking celebrities and all these people talking about, look, guys, just stay at home. It's easy for you to say, homie, you live at an amusement park. Like, not all of us are living at the freaking 5-star resort, which you call home. We call that freaking dream vacation. They got water slides at the house, fully furnished basketball court and fucking weight room. Like, regular people don't have that. So like, we have people who are losing their jobs and they're put in compromising positions. We are not taking care of our people the way we should be.
No. And honestly, I can't even knock it because I have 2 kids. And if I was in a position where it literally meant having to see my kids sleep under a bridge or some shit like that, and like that serious, would you not do that for your kids?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you have no option. You have to.
I mean, that's the fucked up part about it.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, we've arrived. This is where we're at.
It's crazy.
And we crack jokes all the time, about like all these women now on their Facebook promoting their premium snacks.
Yeah. But some of them are just doing what they got to do. And I get it, but I will say this. The people that I'm clowning, I do have to make it clear. Some of these people that I'm clowning, they were selling it before the pandemic hit. So
You're
some,
right.
some of y'all could have had jobs, but but hey, y'all, you get your money. If you're paying your bills, you're keeping your family fed, and y'all are happy. No one can say anything. Like I make my money the way that I do. I'm sure if I knew that Pornhub was gonna run me like 40 racks per tape, if I knew that, if I was putting it down like that, I'd probably be doing that during this time. Why the hell not? But I don't have enough heart for that because I don't want people to see me on the camera and be like, yo, look at this ugly mug. You know what I'm saying? Like, can't do that. But for 40,000 per tape, I don't know. That's good money. You know what I'm saying? But man, I don't like the fact that we got that there are dudes out here trying to finesse these women because they know they're vulnerable. Like that's just preying on the weak. Like that's corny to me. Don't do that. Like have a fucking heart, excuse my language, and understand that some of these people have children, they're taking care of like parents, they're doing all of these things and they're trying to do that with very limited resources and also being in a situation where they potentially don't have jobs, so on and so forth. Like, don't make them feel any worse than they already feel by telling them that the only way they can stay in their home is if they perform sexual acts on you. That make you a garbage human. And unfortunately, most people will never hear this little speech that I just gave, and it's going to be lost on so many people. And there's going to be tons and tons of victims because that's just how life goes. But listen, man, I don't like that. That shit's not fair whatsoever. Yo, so hold on, Priscilla. This is Brooke Shields at age 10.
Yep.
I feel gross even just having this on my phone, although you sent it to me for research purposes only. Don't get it twisted, people. But I'm going to tell you like this. This is a 10-year-old girl in the bathtub, butt ass naked. I'm sure those photos are being taken by an adult. They shouldn't be taken by anyone. So tell me more about this, Priscilla. So what is the deal? Are they like they're trying to deny that this shit happens, or this is just one of these things that you were,
No, that's the craziest part about it is that nobody has ever denied. So I will go ahead. I sent you the link. Basically, in 1975, photographer Gary Gross took several nude. Gary Gross.
His last name's Gross. Wow.
Yeah, of a 10-year-old Brooke Shields that were later published in a Playboy publication called Sugar and Spice. The photographs have been a source for controversy over the decades, but many internet users were blissfully unaware of the images until one appeared in the meme. The girl in the background of the meme is indeed a naked 10-year-old Shields, and the photograph was indeed published by Playboy. It was in a press publication called Sugar and Spice. In 81, with Sugar and Spice out of print and Shields' profile on the rise, Shields sued the photographer, arguing that the photographer should not be allowed to continue to profit from the images, and the photograph could harm her career. The lawsuit was dismissed in a 4-3 decision by New York State Supreme Court. They stated that the pictures were not erotic or pornographic, except to possibly perverse minds. And that while the images might cause Shields personal embarrassment, they did not constitute irreparable harm, as Shields' profile has risen in the years since the photographs were taken.
So to be clear, ladies and gentlemen, if you heard that story, basically a group of adults decided that it was fully acceptable to take pictures of a naked 10-year-old and that it was okay for the man who took the photos to promote them and use them to make money off of, and that although it could have been a big deal to her, it was not overall a real issue because she wasn't doing anything sexual. Now, I want to make it clear, and unfortunately, I now have these in my text thread with Priscilla, but there's literally pictures of her butt-ass naked in a bathtub. This is a 10-year-old girl, and this was put in a magazine that is purchased by adults. You have to be 18 and up to get Playboys. Now, I don't know if it was always like that back in the day, but either way, 10-year-old naked girl in a publication for adults. And then another group of adults told her that, hey, pretty much this is just your problem and not his problem. That's unreal to me that they would allow that to happen. She's 10 years old and they were letting a grown man make money off of her naked pictures.
And she's got a full face of makeup. Like, that's what they're saying that they're not erotic and they're not pornographic. If they were just pictures, I have pictures of my kids in the bathtub. I'm also their parent. And I'm also not making money off of them.
Yeah.
With that being said, I'm not dressing my kids up in makeup. That's sexualizing a child. That's trying to make her look older. Like, something's off.
Something's off in the minds of those adults who decided that no, there's no case here. And even though it probably makes you uncomfortable and or embarrassed, that doesn't matter. We're not going to tell this adult man, Gary Gross, who's really fucking gross.
Yeah.
We're not going to tell him to stop making money off of this. Gary, God, I hope you had your dick caught in a cheese grater, buddy, because this is disgusting as hell. I wonder if there's something that says like how much he made off of the photo. Does it say that in the article?
Let me look that up right now.
That is something that would be interesting to know. Like, I wonder how many prints it sold or something. Because then at least we know how many, like, we have an exact number of how many nasty MFs are walking amongst us. And that's just going to be a small portion of them. What did Brooke's parents do? I'm assuming they okayed this shit. Did it say anything about her parents? Did she have parents?
Her parents okayed it.
Because they wanted the money, I bet.
Exactly.
God, man. You were willing to pimp out your own child just for some money? Y'all care about money that bad that you're willing to put your child in harm's way. That is unbelievable that there are people that are like that. Holy shnikes, man.
So apparently he's since died in 2010 at 73. Interestingly enough, he ended up becoming a dog trainer and turned to photographing portraits of canines. Mom, what was
happening? Oh. Priscilla's at home still handling mom business, but
I know.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
It's all good to walk in on.
So Gary Gross dies at age 73 after becoming a dog trainer, which is very interesting. So he's a pedophile probably his entire life, taking pictures of young kids, and then decides that that's no longer the life for him. I'm going to train animals now. That's super weird. I wonder how you fall into that. You go from being, a molester to being an animal trainer.
Apparently he got paid $450 at the time to do this, but I doubt that's like, it says the 75 actress mother, Terry Shields, consented to allow her daughter, then a child model, to be photographed nude for a Playboy Press publication. So Terry Shields earned $450 for the shoot, which, wow, she sold her girl for $450.
For $450? That was it?
Wow. That's sad.
Damn. Yo, my heart goes out to
that was
Brooke.
1976. I don't know what $450 was worth back then, but
even still, man, my heart goes out to Brooke because she probably had no idea what was happening to her back in the day. And imagine at her age now, she's just been carrying this stuff with her whole entire life. This is not an ideal way to have a childhood.
Okay, so I just looked it up. $450 in 1975 was about $2,100 now.
God.
That's still not shit.
Bro, $2,100, that's not even a down payment on an Altima, my nigga. Like you're not doing anything with that. Damn. $450 to have your kid get naked and have somebody sell their pictures. So what did Gary make over time for this?
I'm trying to figure it out. I can't find it. Which is even worse because I'm like, so you weren't profiting off of these, you just wanted these for your personal use?
Yeah, he probably did. He probably was just at the house looking at them.
Ew, that's so creepy.
And let me guess.
Wow,
Is Gary's white?
Hold on. Oh, okay, this is something different. I saw 16.9 million and I was like, what?
What? Oh my God. And Brooke's mom only got 450, fam. Congratulations,
No.
you played yourself. God, if that was real, I would have lost it. But then I would have questioned, well, how did Buddy end up becoming a dog trainer if he made 16 million off Brooke's photos? So while Priscilla's looking up that information, thank you for still staying with us. Or if you've just joined us, you're tuned in to the Meaningful Jackson Show. We're live on Track Talk Radio as well as YouTube. This is the first episode of season 2. So you'll notice that when you look at the information, the description, we are in our second season because, I wasn't going to keep. Yeah, this is how I want to do it. What I want to be able to, you know what I'm talking about. You probably don't because I'm just rambling, but we're in season 2. And right now, Priscilla's looking up some numbers from, and don't judge us. We're not being nasty. We're looking up to see what some guy made off of selling some nudes of a 10-year-old. And that sounded very crazy the way I just phrased that. But this is Brooke Shields back in the 70s. And Priscilla, what made you bring this up? Let me ask that. How did this get prompted?
We were talking about that that note or the list that you and I had in the beginning of this quarantine about people being arrested for pedophilia.
Yeah. Okay. And this is one of those things?
Yeah, sorry.
Was this on that letter?
Was what?
Was this situation on that letter?
It was not on that letter. What was on the letter was basically outing Hollywood and the elite pedophilia problem due to the extraction of adrenochrome. And this is something that goes into that.
Oh, okay. I see. Now I see how it's connected. Okay. So anyway, everyone who's tuning in, Priscilla was looking up because I asked if she knew how much the guy ended up profiting over time on when he sold these naked pictures of Brooke Shields. Brooke Shields' mother, I think you said her name was Terry Shields. Is that right?
Yes.
Terry Shields. She ended up taking away $450 at the time, which this is back in the 70s. And Priscilla said that now that value pretty much equates to about $2,100. And so at the time, she took $450 to allow some grown man named Gary, last name Gross. That's not a joke or anything. His last name actually is Gross. He died in 2010 at the age of 73. But Terry Shields basically sold her daughter to him for $450. And then sometime after that, Brooke and her representatives, they sued him because he continued to use the photo to make money. But this photo was also featured in a spread in Playboy. Is that correct, Priscilla?
It was not a spread in Playboy, but Playboy, as in the magazine Hugh Hefner, released a publication. Gotcha. So it wasn't an actual it was a separate publication from the magazine.
Oh, okay. So a separate publication from the magazine, and this was one of the photos that was featured in it. Either way, it's pictures of a 10-year-old girl fully nude, taken by an adult with adult supervision. And that adult was, I'm assuming, her mother. Her mother approved this to happen. So I had said earlier that my heart goes out to Brooke Shields. I feel bad for her because I can't imagine what it has taken to probably get past some of these traumatic things that have happened to her. And I'm sure if this was one, this is probably not the only thing that she had to endure during her time in Hollywood. And this is just like Priscilla was saying, we were looping it back to this letter that we had been talking about outing Hollywood pedophilia. And this is one of the conspiracies that we continue to talk about on the show. And I think it's for good reason. And it's mainly because it's interesting and it's crazy. Some of it is like unfathomable, but at the same time, it's not really surprising. I don't know, man. Are there any other like stories like this about Brooke or any other like entertainers that you know of, Priscilla, that are maybe connected to some of this stuff that was in that letter?
Not off the top of my head. God, I'm like drawing a blank. I could definitely get you like a whole list. So I know Brookfield, it has been like sort of one of the earlier examples, just because that movie she did, Blue Lagoon, I think she was underage, and there's a whole entire news thing in that movie.
Yeah, I remember seeing like some stuff on this on YouTube, and I remember they have a scene where it's like her like in the water with like a guy who was obviously like a teenage boy or something like that, and they're both naked or some shit.
Corey Feldman is another one who swears by all of this stuff happening. Drew Barrymore.
And so I had always heard her name come up, but why was I thinking that she was one of the ones they say was like involved in like helping to facilitate some of this stuff and like make it happen?
Well, here's the thing, is that a lot of these people who have grown up being molested by these elites, it's just how things are done to gain power.
Yeah.
So that is what she had to sacrifice to get where she's at. And now anybody else coming in at a young age, these are the things that they now have to sacrifice to gain that sort of status or power.
Gotcha.
It goes in so deep too. Like,
that's what she said. I had to. It was too easy. Yo, this is all so crazy. So what I want to do, I want us to like, I think we should like really do like a big story and put some stuff together and just like have like a show where we can present some of this information to the people, things that they don't know, not as a way to like become conspiracy theorists and like do all this crazy stuff, but highlight a lot of what is already out, like kind of public knowledge, but stuff that maybe not everybody knows about if they're not paying attention very closely. Because I will admit, as somebody who I love movies and I love like, learning about people and their backgrounds, but I can't say that I know a lot about a lot of actors outside of like movies that they've done or shows that they've done. I don't really pay attention to like personal lives. So when I hear this stuff, it's almost a little bit like mind-blowing, because it's like, damn, like they really like let shit like this happen out there. And so I think we should like continue to like talk about this week to week, because I'm sure we could have every show could be talking about this type of stuff. And I want us to like discuss like, how, I wonder what are some of the ways they plan to like fix this and rectify that. Have they ever talked about that? Is there stuff out there on that?
On what? Sorry, I was momming.
Like as far as like, what are the plans to put it? Like, how do they stop this shit? Like, if molestation is like a part of Hollywood culture, like who are the people who are in the forefront to stop it?
Well, that's just it. I think now is a time where it's finally becoming more out there for people to make these movements to stop it, because up until now, it's just been so excessive.
Yeah.
And the people who speak up against it end up dead or called crazy or conspiracy theorists, all that stuff.
Yeah, that's crazy that we live in a place where we'll go out of our way to alienate the person who tries to just uncover the truth and allow people to hear it and like kind of, decipher it for themselves. Like, what's the one guy who, like, I don't know too much about this, and some people have told me that he's a criminal, but what's the one guy that like outed like the government about like their cyber practices and all that, and then he like fled the country? what's buddy's name?
Oh God,
He's a white dude with glasses or something. Is his name Ed? Ed something? Is it Snowden? Edward Snowden? Is that his name?
What is it?
Edward Snowden? Is that a name, or did I make that up?
It sounds made up, but I don't know. That could be it. I have no idea.
I thought there was some dude that they like really like kind of cast and threw out to the wolves after he just outed the government. So, but my point is that we always have these people that like what we would deem as trying to do the right thing, and then basically we have a group of really powerful people that will try to crush them and put a stop to that. And it probably is because if they allow this person to start running their mouth and the masses start to believe it, it's going to unearth what will be some of the most horrific things you will find out about people who have been leading our country, leading certain avenues of our lives, whether it be like entertainment and you know, sports and, you know, big business. Like knowing that all that's going to happen, I feel like people will be devastated when they find out a lot of these people in power are just maybe not doing the right thing. It's not even a maybe. I'm sure that there's something that they're all doing that's not right.
Okay, Edward Snowden. That just said is the name.
Yeah. Okay. So I was right. Okay. I thought I was just hearing that. But yeah, I want to say that he was one of those people that like he started like kind of like speaking up and unraveling the truth, and they were like, "Nah, fam," and obviously they tried to do what they tried to do to take care of him, and then I heard he like fled the country or some shit like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he had people banging down his door trying to kill him and being followed and everything else. Like, people think that stuff is only in movies, and it's very, very real.
Yeah. I figure if this is in a movie, that inspiration is drawn from somewhere. That means that this type of shit happens. Now, I can't say, like, I don't think that about the Avengers, obviously. Like, we don't have the Avengers. That's not a thing. But, like, these thriller movies that you watch where, like, cops are doing crazy stuff, the government is doing crazy stuff, I always have to believe, like, I feel like that has to come from somewhere. It has to be real. Or, at the very minimum, the people like law enforcement and government agencies, they know they have the ability to do some of these things they see on movies, and they probably take some of those tactics and then they probably start to actually use them on real people because the movie has just given you the blueprint on how to do it and get away with it. Crazy shit.
Yeah, I feel like that too. I always tell people, like, the first place you should look is the movies because they throw stuff out in front of your face. Like, here's the thing: if your mind believes something is too crazy to be real life, then they win. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's just not realistic. I hear that all the time. You think if there were so many pedophiles, it wouldn't be all over the news? No, like they are the ones running these big corporations, these big organizations.
So when it circles back to, because we always mention the word imagination and stuff, and you circle it back to that drug you were telling me about. What is that? And explain how this has turned into like a major commodity amongst people.
So adrenochrome is a chemical compound, but it's produced by the oxidation of adrenaline.
Okay.
So we all know adrenaline happens when your fight or flight mechanism kicks in, right?
Yeah.
So basically, they've been intravenously extracting this molecule to get high off of, and they found, according to the theory, the easiest way to do this is by terrorizing children. Because children obviously get very fearful very easily.
Yeah.
Which you get into a lot of sadistic, sick shit like ritual sex with children, torturous, like, I mean, I don't know. There was a documentary a while ago on Netflix that's since been removed called Snuff. And it was basically about all these snuff films that were out and how much they sold for on the black market and who's really buying them. And they do this for children too.
This is crazy. Okay, and so I guess my first question is how did you end up first discovering this and like
um, wow. How did I end up? So I have always been really into like the occult and spiritualism, and I have read a whole bunch of books on a whole bunch of different things like sacrificial stuff and the Illuminati, all of
okay.
those things. So when I started reading into things like that and the rituals that go on in Hollywood, I don't really believe in a heaven or hell personally. So to say that they're like satanic rituals isn't a thing for me. But
Yeah.
there are definite rituals that exchange energy with negative things that entail them,
Like dark arts
children
type of stuff.
sacrifices and stuff like that.
Yeah, like the dark arts. Was that what how they refer to it? Like stuff like that? It's like the dark stuff.
Yeah, the dark arts, black magic.
Okay. This is very interesting. Okay, and so this is something that comes up in those types of circles, and when y'all have those conversations, is that right? Because I this is the first I've ever heard about this is when you and I started having these discussions, and I feel like every time I hear it, I'm a little bit more blown away because I'm like, this is stuff that I feel like I had never heard of until probably about the last few months. So I'm wondering, have I just been living under a rock this whole time, or am I just a little bit
You're just not into weird
slow?
shit like
That's what
I.
I'm saying. Like, has this all this shit just been happening around me and I've just missed it because I'm just like I'm half slow or something? What's going on?
Well, okay, so for example, everything really comes down to energy, right? So
Yeah,
you think of people who are using these rituals for their own benefit, the purest energy is children.
that
Now,
makes
when you talk
sense.
about people in the Illuminati and people who are your elitists, we'll put it,
Excuse me.
who are using these rituals to gain power, that's where the pedophilia and the children come into play. And this has been going on like way past, I'm talking like dawn of centuries. Like,
Yeah,
you heard of children sacrifices forever now.
yeah. Well, because I remember before we took like the week off, I remember you and James were talking about this, I think, and talking about, or maybe it was something similar, like they're talking about like Masons and all that. Is all this kind of connected to that type of stuff too?
Yeah.
Okay,
So like the Masons are like a branch of that same sort of belief system.
gotcha. Okay.
I know, it's like follow the rabbit down the hole.
Yeah. So Steph. So shout out to Steph. Steph's in the chat. She said negative energy is dark, and then rituals with good intent is positive. Gotcha. Okay. So since this has been going on since the beginning of whenever, um, I mean, at this point, it almost sounds like we're in too deep. How does something like this get stopped, or is it just like one of it's just here? Like, is that kind of where we're at?
Yeah, I feel like it's here. This is the reality that we live in. And a part of our job on a spiritual level is to do the inner work and operate in a frequency of love and positivity so that things like this aren't happening in this reality, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, it does make sense. Yeah, it seems, I don't know. I would never say that it seems hopeless, but I can't imagine that at this point in time that this is something that would just go away completely. Because if what not that I'm saying I don't believe you, but if what you're saying is true for those people who may not think either way or whatever, you might be looking at this as it sounds like kids hold all the real power and that adults are basically using them as some form of currency in order to elevate their status amongst the most powerful. And so when they're doing that, like, what are the ways in which someone can actually stop that from happening, because power is too attractive to a lot of these people. And so they're not ever going to relinquish power, which is why we have people who try to unearth this stuff and they end up dying, or, they end up being cast out as, liars and traitors and all of these things. So it's like, you wonder, like, how does something like this ever stop? And now I'm kind of almost convinced that it's probably not possible. It probably will just be here until the end of time.
Well, yeah, and that's the other thing is, like, time is one of those things that doesn't really exist. We make time. So we could get into a lot of things.
It's getting deep. I like it.
Deeper and deeper.
Yeah. It's all interesting stuff. Like I said, I've never known much about this, or I just haven't paid attention. So it's interesting to know that this type of stuff is around us. I mean, not to say that I didn't know that like this like stuff existed, but I didn't understand or fathom like the level of complexity that it surrounds it, and like how deep this actually is. Because like I said, if you're thinking that some of these families since the dawn of time have been like doing this, and this is how they maintain power, like, I mean, fuck, man. Like I said,
one family that's famous for it is the Rothschilds.
Yeah. I've heard of them, and I know you've mentioned them before as well.
And I mean, I'm on it. If you look at those people, I'm like, I don't know what kind of sacrificial shit is keeping you alive, but they are literally like living corpses.
Yo, I want to look them up real quick.
They're scary looking.
I'm gonna look them up real quick. Oh, no, I had something wild just pop up on my phone. What was I watching earlier? In here being nasty. All right, so so let me read their Wikipedia. Rothschild family, a wealthy Jewish family originally from Frankfurt that rose to prominence with Mayor Amschel Rothschild. This is back in the 1700s. Holy smokes. They got a cool family crest, though, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, their family goes back, way back.
Damn. So who are the people that are repping this family now? Like, is it anybody that's of any type of, like, notoriety? Like, someone that we would know, like, if you were to say their name out loud?
I'm about to send you, not that I can think, the Rothschilds in general, like, hold on 1 second.
Like, do they got IG? I want to see their IG.
There's Lord Rothschild. You know what I'm saying?
Like, I'm not calling anybody Lord.
The Clintons have ties with them.
Okay.
Jacob Rothschild would be like the most popular. Gary Rothschild.
Gary. Nobody named Gary is cool.
I'm about to send you these pictures of them recently.
Yeah. I want to see if we have zombies that's out here walking around. I want to see what they look like. It's just crazy to think that we have some families like this that could they stay on top forever. And you wonder, like, how do they even make their fortune? Like, did people really just like wake up? They just had this shit one day, or they were just out here robbing, looting, and killing until they stacked up enough, and then like they just had a way to establish dominance amongst the other humans. Like, that's just crazy. I mean, this thing is saying that they've kind of been on top since the 1700s. That's mad long ago.
And how are they doing that?
Yeah, exactly. Apparently, it's through the use of children, based on what you're telling me. Yo, this guy, hold up. Yo, buddy looks like he should be the host of Tales from the Crypt. Y'all remember that show?
Mm-hmm.
Yo, does he not look like that just with skin? He literally looks like that thing.
I'm about to send you a couple more because they just look like they are entities or energies and like a physical host. Like, that's the only way I can describe it, whether you believe that or not. Like,
yeah.
I mean, for everybody listening, that's one thing, but something's off with all of them.
This is crazy.
And there's a reason, like, some of these people have had like 4 heart transplants.
Yo, These do stop. The one dude looks like a freaking mummy.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and look at their eyes. It's all in the eyes.
It doesn't even look real.
Another one.
They look like how people on Get Out was looking.
You know?
This is very interesting. So, fuck, man. You know, my next question, I'm just like, I don't even know if that's the one I want to ask. There's so much other stuff I feel like I need to know before. Yeah, bro. Why are his eyes like that? He looks like he's been dead.
I'm like getting the heebie-jeebies just sending this to you. That's how I'm very sensitive when it comes to energy, and there's something about looking at their pictures that really makes me uncomfortable.
Yo, it made me uncomfortable too. It's probably the fact that Buddy looks like the light's been out for like forever and that he's being kept alive by reserve backup battery power. That shit is just not working right, man. These people look old and crusty as hell. And these are the type of white guys that we be talking about. Y'all need to try to stay away from. These are the ones that are in these positions of power that we need to get them out of that, because they allow these other goofs to, you know, make these decisions because it's in the best interest of their legacies. And they refuse to relinquish power and control to the people like us who are considered the have-nots. They can't allow that to happen. This is crazy, man. Yeah. Stop. This is like sending, like, you know, monsters to my phone. Stop doing that. You're going to give me nightmares tonight.
No,
You're going to give me nightmares tonight. Send those pictures to Steph. She need to see them.
I literally said it's so funny. She said this one creeps me the fuck out.
Yeah. Those are some unhealthy looking dudes. But you know what? I bet you, listen, do you think they have coronavirus?
Nah.
They're probably the only people who have the antidote.
Absolutely. Oh my God, they probably helped create this shit. They probably some sort of.
Yo, I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised at all. This shit is crazy. Man, this has been we got about 15 minutes left. This has been an interesting show. Well, maybe we got about 15 minutes on YouTube, about 10 on Track Talk Radio, because we're going to close out with some music. There's a couple more of these little articles that I just want to mention because the shit was funny. And I want to know if you saw this. Hold on. So we talked about, did you see, okay, there's a guy in Connecticut and he was arrested because he broke into a closed cafe and he stayed there for 4 days eating and drinking all of their food and beverages.
Wow.
And my man in his jail photo, he has the biggest smirk on his face because I don't think he really cares about the fact that he's about to do time behind this shit. I would be interested to know what his motivation was. I'm sure it's probably the obvious. He probably was one of the have-nots, which is unfortunate. But it's weird to me that he would want to break into a place. And how do you break in and stay there for 4 days? They must not have had a good security system, I'm assuming. Because how's a person staying there for 4 days? Yeah. So let me read some of this. This is interesting. So Luis Angel Ortiz, age 42, decided to quarantine inside a shuttered New Haven, Connecticut Cuban restaurant, Sol de Cuba Cafe. So like many restaurants, the cafe closed its doors due to the COVID-19 outbreak. On a routine check, a manager discovered Ortiz inside the cafe asleep with a bottle of rum. Authorities were able to confirm from the surveillance system that Ortiz broke into the cafe on Saturday and spent 4 days helping himself to thousands of dollars worth of food, liquor, and beer. People.com also reported that Ortiz removed property and beverages from the cafe. It has not been reported where he took the items, but management estimated the loss of food and beverage at several $1,000s. So Buddy ate several $1,000s worth of food in 4 days. That doesn't even seem possible. How?
That's nuts.
Several thousand. What is costing several $1,000s? at a cafe.
I'm trying to think. I'm like, how do you even eat that?
Like, I can't imagine anything he ate. Like, the food bill probably was like 150 for a couple of days. I can understand maybe like the alcohol, maybe that's adding up because, alcohol is not cheap. But the food being thousands of dollars worth, that's crazy. I mean, it does say food and beverage, but several thousand still seems excessive. So it says the loss includes an estimated 70 bottles of stolen or consumed liquor. He's being held on $10,000 bond, and he will return to court on May 27th. He's being charged with burglary, larceny, and criminal mischief. And he's been charged with failure to appear in court for an unrelated matter. Yo, wow. Luis Ortiz, my man, you're 42 years old, and we get it. You're trying to prove to us that you just don't give a damn. Fam, you are not doing right. And I hope you at least took the bottle, sold them, and made some cash, because $10,000 bond, I can't imagine that you have that if you felt the need to break into somewhere. This is about the dumbest thing that I've ever heard. Shit is crazy. $10,000. Okay, so for our last little topic, I want to ask you this, because I have not, but I want to know, did you watch the most recent episode of Tiger King? Because I heard they put a new episode on there.
A new one?
So I guess there's some sort of like follow-up to everything that was happening, but I don't think it has Exotic Joe on it, or Joe Exotic, whatever his name is. Someone told me that it's just the guy who took over his little farm thing or whatever. I think it's like him and then some of the other characters. But
I gotta watch it.
Yeah. And I noticed when I was looking at Netflix, when you scroll like by the title, it has the little red tab that says new episode on there.
Oh wow! I was too busy watching the new R. Kelly stuff yesterday.
Oh yeah, okay. Let's real quick before we get into that. So let's try to watch this before Tuesday so we can talk about it, because I'm interested to see what happens to Joe. But tell me more about this R. Kelly thing, because you texted me and you said that there was a part 2 of Surviving R. Kelly and it's on Netflix. Is that right?
Yeah. So apparently, after the first one, they had a premiere, like, for the people who starred in it. And as soon as they sat down to watch the movie, security came in and they were like, we all need to evacuate. You guys need to go home. There's been a threat. So apparently somebody threatened to go up in that place and blow everybody that snitched on R. Kelly.
Oh, shit.
And they had to be escorted to their homes with police vehicles.
And this is the victims, right? The people who were speaking out against them? Okay. Damn.
So now they feel like their lives are in danger, because basically it's this documentary about how they feel their lives are in danger from putting out the first documentary.
Oh, okay. Now I'm gonna be honest. I didn't see the first one. I only heard people talking about it. And I'm gonna tell you why I didn't. Why I didn't need, and I don't think it was put out for people to, basically decide that based on hearing what they heard on that documentary that they would for sure know that he was guilty. But I will say, for me, I didn't need to watch that to know that he was a creep. I feel like I already knew that, So I never really saw that. So basically you're saying that they put out a second documentary because they feel like their lives are at risk because of what they did with the first one. And go ahead.
The thing about the first one, because I've always believed that R. Kelly was doing what he was doing. I do think he's a brilliant musician. I don't think that excuses him from being a shitty ass person.
Yeah, he's still garbage, but yeah, he was great.
The first one, though, went more in depth into the shit that we know. And he's pretty much running his own cult. He takes these young girls, he manipulates them, he brainwashes them, he makes them live with them like a dog, like in these horrible conditions. He won't feed them unless they beg. Makes them completely cut off their friends and their family, and they just disappear for 2 years. And in the first documentary, you see these parents looking for their daughter who just disappeared with R. Kelly.
So this was always my thing, and I, since you saw the documentary, you can tell me if they addressed this or not, or if I'm wrong. And we got about 5 minutes or so, but I've always wondered would these girls get picked up by him when they're extremely young. So that means the parents have to have some sort of consent to allow him to take the child. Does the documentary in any way kind of like shine a light on the parents and the fact that they are in somewhat at fault for allowing their daughter to go off with this grown ass entertainer person?
They actually interview the parents of almost all of the victims, and all of the parents on there basically like break down crying, saying that like it's their fault. But most of these girls, what happens is that they were wanting to be in the entertainment industry at some point.
Yeah, that's what I feel.
Parents were basically like, obviously we wanted that for our child.
Yeah.
And R.Kelly sitting here promising all these things, like you're gonna be on my tour, and I'm gonna get you an album.
Yeah.
And like you're my #1 girl. It's the same story for all of them.
Yeah. Damn, getting finessed because you're hoping that this person's going to help you achieve your dreams. And that's just the power that people have, man. And that's what they're able to do with power, money, and access. They're able to manipulate the people who don't have that with their thought of being able to obtain that type of stuff. You're willing to do anything. So I'm sure these parents were like, oh, yeah, like if our daughter has talent and R.Kelly sees the talent, that means they're going to be a big star, and then we'll get out of the hood and we'll be able to do this and get that car we've been wanting and all this and all that. And fam, he really was just taking your little girl and turning her into, nothing, ruining her life. That's crazy.
It's sad. And I think it's a lot, like, you hear these stories from these parents who, like, it's clear they don't have a lot. They're not rich. They're struggling to get by. And like, obviously, like even when I did music, like my parents were willing to do anything so that I could succeed. I mean, not that far. Like I wasn't dumb.
Yeah.
But you do see a lot of that. And like, I do feel bad because, and Steph and I were talking about this earlier today, at 13, 14 years old, you're looking at this artist. You don't even look at it like that. It's like this person you idolize.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, you're into me? Like, you want me to do this? Like, whoa, like, I must be special.
Yeah. Damn.
And that's the same, because that's a grown-ass man.
Yeah.
Knowing damn well what he's doing.
That's crazy. So crazy.
And I love R. Kelly's music. I always have. I think he's brilliant musically.
Yeah, I always said for me, I'm one of those people where like if I look at a person's craft, their profession, whatever it is that they do, and that to me is always separate from like the personal stuff. And I know some people will say, well, how can it be da 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 da? And I'm like, because it just is. Like, I mean, obviously some of these people, they try to force their crap, the world that they, work in, and then their personal lives, they force them to clash and become one. Like R. Kelly has done that to himself by doing the things that he's done and, shining. He ultimately shined this light on his situation. He did this to himself. But, you look at, like, we even have sports guys who go through these situations and people will say like, well, it affects how he is on the court. And I'll be like, well, nah, he or she is not any, like Hope Solo's not any less good than what she was just because she was whooping her husband's ass or her nephew or her aunt or whatever that situation was. She still was a great goalkeeper. Kobe still was a great player, even though he caught like a rape case. Like Tiger Woods was still a great golfer, even though he was doing bullshit and creeping and all that. Like, so for me, sometimes like it has to be separate. R. Kelly still has classic music. It doesn't mean that these people aren't shitty humans or haven't made horrible decisions based on what they did. But like, I don't see why people think people who can't separate or who do separate the two, like, why do they think that they shouldn't? Why do you think it should be lumped into one thing? Like, his music is still great, but he's still a garbage person. That's just, it is what it is. And he's paying for that shit now. Cause I mean, he's not getting out of jail anytime soon, I don't think.
Mm-hmm. And I think, I think he very well deserves the time after the things that I saw. I watched the Michael Jackson documentary too. I love both of them musically the same, and the Michael Jackson one felt a little bit like people were paid off. It felt like bullshit. The R. Kelly one, I did not have the same feelings about.
Yeah. I mean, go ahead.
I said the shit made me sick, like to watch. Like it was emotional. Like I was in tears half the time.
And I heard a lot of people, they said the same thing, that the R. Kelly documentary, like it just made them very sick to their stomach. And like I said, for me, I never watched it because I don't feel like I needed to see that for it to be confirmed to me that he was this person. I feel like all that stuff was obvious based on what we knew way back in the day. And people allowed him to skate by on that. And that just ends up being unfortunate. But man, we could have a whole episode where we talk about R. Kelly. I think we should. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to watch both these documentaries and then we're going to talk about it. But listen, if you're on Track Talk Radio, we got about 30 seconds until we go off the air. Thank you for tuning in. Again, our new setup is this. We're going to be here Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday from 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Track Talk Radio as well as YouTube. And then on Fridays, we have a new show called Starters on the Bench. And that will be on Twitch from 6 to 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So on Track Talk Radio, thank you for tuning in. Sherry, shout out to you. I'm not sure what's next, but you should stay tuned and find out for yourself. It's going to be lit. We out. All right. Priscilla, this was a great show. You taught me a lot tonight about a lot of crazy stuff, man. I do have one question before we close out, and it's super off the wall. What do you know about the JFK assassination, and do you think it's a setup?
So yes, I think it was a setup. JFK actually. Okay, again, according to what I believe, JFK had knowledge of extraterrestrial life.
It's interesting.
And he had planned to release a lot of confidential, like top secret documents. Same thing with Marilyn Monroe, which is actually how they got involved with each other.
And so basically... So what I want to do is I'm bringing this up because I know one time James and I had kind of been talking about this when he was like cutting my hair. We were kicking or doing something. And so I want to get into this on one of our shows coming up. And I want to know what you guys think, because I don't know a whole lot about it, but I've always heard rumors that they thought the whole thing was a setup and that they got killed for some reason, but I've never known what that is. So I definitely want to hear about this JFK thing. So we're going to have to get into that. I'm interested to know everything that you think about that. And I also want to hear what James has to say. So we're going to have a whole show around that. Maybe on Thursday. I think Thursday we'll do the entire show on some of these things.
That way I can like prepare some stuff, because sometimes like I get into talking about this stuff and I am all over the place just because there's so much.
Yeah, I'm with it. Let's shoot for Thursday. That'll be the JFK episode, because I have some questions around that for sure, and I'm gonna add it to the Google Doc. We'll put that on there. Oh, did she hang up? Priscilla, you still there?
No, sorry, my phone like just went black for a second.
Because you got a janky Android phone. I've been telling you, get an iPhone. No,
it's what we're talking about. Mark my words.
Oh my God! Listen. If my FBI agent is listening, I'm just trying to do some research, fam. I just want to know what the people are talking about. I'm not trying to start nothing. I just want to know. That's it. But anyway, everyone who's listening or watching this on YouTube, thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed our show. Priscilla, thank you for calling in. And also, again, happy birthday. If you guys want to leave some comments and some birthday wishes for Priscilla, I'm sure that would be much appreciated. We love you to death. Happy birthday. Welcome to 31. It's cool that I said that because she approved it at the beginning of the show. So again, welcome to age 31. It's the most meaningless birthday of all time, but still a great one. You are awesome. We appreciate you here on the show. You are a great friend, and I'm proud to know you. So happy birthday. Shit, it's 9 p.m. I hope you're going to end up having at least an amazing rest of the night, however long that may be. So shout out to you.
I have a happy hour after this. A virtual happy hour.
There you go. That's awesome. Do that. Enjoy that. You deserve it. So thank you for joining the show. And thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you enjoy this episode. If you do, please like and subscribe. Share it with your friends. And stay tuned for any new projects that we have coming up. Starters on the Bench starts on April 24th. It's going to be from 6 to 7 p.m. on Twitch. If you would like to subscribe to me on Twitch, you can get a free subscription every month if you have an Amazon Prime account. So go on Twitch, type in your information from Amazon, and then you'll be able to subscribe to my channel for free. So that way you can be there as we debut this new podcast, and that takes off. It's going to be sports, video games, books, and music, man, all of my favorite things. So we're going to get into it, and we'll see you guys on Tuesday. Priscilla, I'll see you on Tuesday, and we're going to do a Tiger King update. So watch that and let me know what you think, all right?
Yes, all right.
All right, I'll see you later.
See ya.
Thanks to everybody that's in the chat. Steph and Big Baby John, shout out to you guys. Hope y'all enjoy your night and you're staying healthy. I'm out.